Unscripted.
Unshackled.
Uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for mature ears only.
It's Miguel Fuller.
I would show anything. I'd show my hee-hee and my hoo-hoo and my ha-ha.
Holly O'Connor.
Hey, Daddy, you want to take this to the bedroom?
And Scotty the Body.
I am officially not only the grill daddy, but I'm a hot grill daddy.
Oh, wow.
It's the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast.
Only from Hot 101.5, Tampa Bay's new hit music.
Hello. Hi. We are Miguel, Holly, and Scotty the Balti.
Hi.
We post the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast on YouTube under the Miguel and Holly YouTube channel. And if you just have been watching, you notice when the intro was playing, Holly, you were looking at a text and you had the most either annoyed or angry look on your face.
Oh.
I'm not sure what you were looking at on your phone just now, but you go back and look. You had the most disgusted or angry
Was it confused?
face. It didn't look like confusion face. It looked
I
like
wasn't
you were
angry at all in this past 5 minutes.
Really? It looked
Yeah.
like you were just really annoyed or angry or something.
I have a resting bitch face, I think.
And that's okay.
Like sometimes Maya will be like, "Why are you mad? What's mad? Are you mad?" I'm like, "No, I'm not mad." And she's like,
RBF.
"You look mad." I'm like, "I'm not mad." I'm like, "I would let you know if I was
Mm.
angry about something, but I'm not." I just think I have a resting bitch face. And also I haven't had Botox in like half a year.
Oh,
And I'm not kidding. Like when I catch myself sometimes in the mirror, I'm like, "Why do I look so mad?" But it's just like I have so many things going on with my forehead. I just think that I look mad. I think what I was confused about was I've been going through some of the DMs on the Miguel and Holly Instagram page, and someone said, "Miguel." Now, this was back on February 4th, so sometimes it takes us a minute.
Oh, yeah.
She goes, "Miguel, I've been to 3 liquor stores looking for that tequila you keep talking about. Now you have to hook me up or hook me to something. I ended up leaving with Don Julio for my anniversary instead of some spice." And I was like, what I think you saw was me being like, when the F did Miguel talk about tequila?
When do
Oh,
you ever
gotcha.
talk about tequila?
Yeah, no.
I was
Never.
like, so then I was like, this bitch think he talking about tequila. And then I'm like, maybe he did talk about tequila. What? Like I went through this entire
No.
conversation in my head and I
Mm.
ended up just responding with, "Hey, which tequila was it? ... question mark. What name?" Because I don't think she's thinking of the right person, or maybe she thought you were talking about tequila, but you were not.
Right.
So I'm like,
Hmm.
that's I think
That's the face.
That's it. It's so funny
Oh.
how people mishear stuff that we say on the radio.
yes.
My favorite is if we ever get an email from Boss Man Will,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll be like, "So somebody sent a complaint email because they thought that Scott likes to kick elderly people." And we'll be like, "All right, so when were they listening? Because I can assure you he did not say that."
Right.
And literally it'll be like a Tampa Bay train wreck about an older person falling down.
Right.
But then somebody just heard differently for some reason, and they sent an
Yes.
angry email, and we're like, "So here's the audio. This is not what you heard. We're so sorry."
Yeah, it's just we need to realize this, and I think we all do a good job at recognizing, but sometimes it's hard because we're in this studio just talking to each other, listening intently to the words that are coming out of each other's mouths.
Yes.
When you are listening in your car or on Alexa or at your house or whatever, you're half listening.
Yeah, life is still happening around you.
Yes. And
Mhm.
so, I don't know, depending on your mood, depending on what you thought you heard, suddenly you're like, "Scott kicks puppies? Did you hear that Scott kicks puppies?" I'm
Oh, jeez.
let me craft an angry email to their boss so that I can
Mhm.
fire him. Like, you have
Get
no
him
idea.
out.
It goes from 0 to 60 real quick. And then we're like, "Whoa, hey!" But then you always feel like you're backed into a corner where "That's not what I said." And you're
No,
like, "That's
no.
what you say." You're
No,
like, "That's
no,
not what I
no,
said."
no,
Like,
no.
so that's the issue with radio.
Oh gosh, it's amazing the things that people hear and they
So
think.
this woman went to 3 liquor stores, Miguel,
Oh wow.
for your damn tequila.
Thanks a lot, Miguel.
Wow, sorry.
I'm texting Will.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe she misheard me talk about Corona or something.
I wonder if that's the case.
Probably.
Because we do talk about, and you don't even drink tequila.
No, I'm not unless I'm having a margarita, I'm not a tequila drinker.
No. And so that's why I'm like, That's why my face looked like.
Sorry, boo boo.
I hope that she, figured out that
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
Don Julio was okay.
Good luck. Yeah.
I feel bad about that.
I wanted to bring this up for a couple of weeks, but we have been talking about other stuff on the podcast. But I bought this journal towards the end of last year, which
Mhm.
also doubles as sort of like my to-do list as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's advertised as like a journal to sort of help men um journal more and to sort of get their thoughts. And so it sort of goes through different stages in getting men to sort of, go down that path of being thoughtful about things in their life or whatever. It's called Mind Journal.
Okay.
Oh.
And so the prompts that I've been going over, which are like interesting questions, I kind of wanted to ask you all if you all didn't have anything like crazy that happened to you this weekend.
No.
Nope.
I thought that this would be a
Not
cool
one,
time.
Not one weird, crazy, and or noteworthy thing. I mean, Scott and I had a friend date, but that's it.
Yeah, that's true. Y'all went to a comedy show.
Yeah.
Did anybody look at y'all like y'all were a couple? Like, did y'all have those looks of like, oh, look?
Honestly, I think people, well, this is my perspective.
Yeah.
I think people just assumed
Yeah.
that it was the case.
I mean, why would you not?
Right.
Like, I think our situation is not common. Like, we're both young people. I'm putting myself in that category.
Yeah, you
Hell
young girl.
yeah.
Yes,
Like,
you are.
We're both young people, and we're both insanely good looking. So,
Yeah.
why would you not think that we're on a date?
Yeah.
Although it was a little weird. Did you notice? So, when you go to the comedy club, you have to sit at like a table with other people.
Yes.
And they're small. So like our table, when we got there was a woman sitting on like one side and then a guy sitting on the opposite side. And when they brought us in, I was like, oh, and they were like, oh. And I'm like, don't be that person. Like, don't think that we weren't going to come sit here.
Yeah. Like what?
So I was a little bit like, hey, nope,
girl, we here.
these are our seats. And so then the guy was like, okay, I'll get up, no problem. So he got up and moved. And I assumed that they were a couple or at
I
least
did
married or
too.
something. And then the comedian asked if there were single people. And I did see out of the corner of my eye that homegirl put her hand up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
They were clapping along.
I
Clap
know.
for
So
singles.
I was like, do they not know each other at all? Or I have no idea.
No,
what
at
their
the end, they
situation-
literally, I think I heard the guy say, oh, nice meeting you. I was like, oh.
So
nice meeting you. So they
Yeah.
didn't even. So they just were two single people that
Two
just got
single people that got put on
sat
one table.
down
oh,
together.
wow. That could have been like fate bringing them together at that comedy show.
I know.
Or do you think they look like they could be a match?
No.
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 Yeah. No.
Now, why?
I don't know. I think they. Well.
I thought, honestly, toward the middle, I thought it was a mother and a son together.
Really?
Yes, it was a little bit
Oh.
of that gap where I was like, oh, okay, that's a cool little thing. Like the mom and son went out to a comedy
I
show.
didn't
And then
see
I hear
mom
like,
and son.
well, I don't know. That's what I saw.
Well, but you were sitting closer to the guy. I didn't really look at him much.
Yeah, no, I got a good look at him. But he looked, it looked like it could have been that. But then I heard him say like, oh, nice meeting you. And I was like, oh, they didn't know each other. How cute. I thought they did. No.
Yeah. So it's all. I think that everyone just thought we were a couple. I don't
Yeah.
think it was like awkward. They're like, oh, couple number 75. Go sit down.
Holly and Scott sitting together.
I did actually, because I posted a picture of Scotty and I on my Insta story, and I was like, friend venture. And somebody in my DMs was like, why don't y'all date?
Oh.
And I was like,
wow.
oh
Wow.
boy. No. No. Well, I'm in a relationship.
Holly, if you were
Surprise.
single, would you ever entertain the thought of dating Scott?
I'm a delight to date.
You know, when he got out of my car last night, and this is now my eye started twitching because it's awkward because I'm talking in third person and he's right here.
Oh, this is awkward.
He got out of my car and like you have a lot of similarities to Denny, my first boyfriend.
Oh.
And I was like,
Mm.
man, I like as you like went and you like walked up the driveway, I'm just like, man, that's like Denny. It's so weird. But I think that the age gap is too big. Like if
Mm.
I was like younger or he was older, would it be something I'd be like, I think it could work because we're both nice people.
Right.
It's not, it wouldn't. No, we are on two different ends of that age spectrum. And
But do you think your personalities would match if you two dated? Like if you were younger and
That's a good question.
like do you think that the personalities of you two would mesh?
I think he's too. I don't think he would deal with me very well.
What do you mean?
I think that I don't wash my hair enough. I don't think that I care about my fitness enough. Like I just
Mm.
I'm not I don't think that I'm I don't think I'm for him.
Mm.
Like, but then also on that same coin, like, I think like in my younger days, why do I sound like I'm 80? I'm not. But like, okay, so legit 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
because and that's why I say like where the age gap is too big, because I can say something like 10 years ago, I would have been 29
Mm.
and Scott's 24. And do I think that would have worked for like a few dates? Yeah, I do. I do. But
Long term.
long term,
Yeah.
absolutely not, because I just don't think that our life goals or our life patterns
Mm.
are the same for both sides. Is that accurate? Would you say
Scott,
that's
Yeah,
accurate?
I'd say that.
Or are you like, "Oh, now I have to say awkwardly that I would even date her once
Oh.
because I wouldn't."
No,
I mean, would you
think,
date Holly, Scott?
yeah, probably. I think
Oh.
well, as in like, right now it's so interesting because people, like I get some DMs here and there, and
Mm.
people are like, "Oh, let's go out." And so like my first thought is like, "Sure, I'm
Right.
gonna like just see what happens with it." I don't know. I'm not gonna just count anybody out. Like
Right.
let's see. So I think I would definitely try. But again, I've been thinking a lot about like, as I'm gonna rediscover like what my interests are and doing all these. Like I don't know what that person looks like, but I do have a clear vision of like right now what I don't want in a relationship, what I do want in a relationship, and like, that future person who I'm going to end up being with, hopefully forever. What are those qualities? And so that's kind of where I'm like, okay, like a few dates for sure.
Yeah.
Then let's see, like, okay, is that like long-term material? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
even know what that looks like right now for me.
Because we do have a lot in common, but we also have some differences. So I don't, there's no way you could tell. But I'm telling you, as reality stands right now, the age gap is
No.
too great.
Now, Scott, let's just put on the what if bubble.
Okay.
What if you were gay
Wow.
and I was wow.
Wow.
Wow. Scott's gay.
He didn't say okay or like cool. Wow.
I just
wow.
didn't see that was the direction we're about to go, but okay.
Oh, yeah.
We pivoted.
So do you think that you would date me or go on a date with me if you were gay and I was 28?
Let's see. Well, the Miguel I know now, I think our personalities match for half of your day. But then there's a whole other side of Miguel that I'm like, oh God. I don't know if I could. I don't think you would mesh well with me because I think I would get so annoying on like just the way I work.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You didn't even ask me, but no.
Holly said, no, baby, no.
But also, are we dealing with Miguel's personality now? Only he's 10 years
That's all I
younger?
know. I don't know who he was 10 years ago.
I mean, Holly, do you think that Scott and I would have been a match when I was 28?
Okay, first of all, you would have been obsessed with him,
With
right?
what, Scott?
Yes.
I would have been obsessed with Scott.
That would have
Yes.
been a red flag.
Yes,
Ah.
you would have been obsessed because you get this weird, not now, but like you used to back then, you get
Mhm.
this weird thing where you're like, you are very physically attracted to someone, but then that makes you, it used to like trip your brain into be thinking that you were like all these different compatibilities, because what was that phrase? And we could ask Kramer about this. It's different with this one, is
Ah.
what you would say.
This one is different.
one's different.
Like, y'all, I feel it. I feel it.
Let's just like Scott
so
wants to go
different.
mountain climbing, and you're like, I actually really enjoy mountains. So we actually,
I'm gonna go mountain, y'all. I'm climbing Mount Everest
I'm
this summer.
climbing the mountain, and so I feel like you would have like gone too much, and then I don't know. I mean, I think that Scott would have like given you a shot,
Mm,
but I also think it would have been too much.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that it would have been a bad combo, but like, I just think it would have been too, you would have suddenly, and then you would have been very jealous.
Yeah. I think knowing Scott now and myself at 28, you are correct. I would have been, because I'm trying to think, 28, we were in Panama City for the second round, I think. Yes, we were.
Yeah.
So at that time, I probably would have been like, all right, like this is a guy that, good looking, goes to the gym. I had just at that time gotten into CrossFit.
That's
Nice.
right.
So I
That's
feel-
why you would have been like, I could climb a
Right. So I would have been like, because really at that time when I started CrossFit, it sort of opened up my eyes to being more physical and to doing more things
Yeah.
that I was never open to before. But I do think that I probably would have been like, he's like a little bit much for me.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I probably would have been like, let's hook up and then we can be friends.
Well, yes.
Mhm.
You would have wanted the hookup.
Yeah, I would have been like, first date, put out.
Yes.
Let's get it.
Yes.
And then like that awkward, like a couple of weeks of not a whole lot of text or back and forth. And then be like, hey, do you want to come hang out with my friends Friday night?
Because Miguel turned all of his former hookups into friends, basically.
Oh wow, that's
Mhm.
beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he does
I
it
don't-
sometimes. It's the skill.
Respect.
Talent.
Yeah. And so I feel like it probably would have gone that way. And I would have been like, wow, you would be such a like fun person to hang out with. I just don't know if we could be together for a long time because I'd be like, girl, if you sing one more crazy verse or say one thing
But
that's
like, you do that.
well, exactly. I do it. I don't want to date me. I don't want another person. I know I'm annoying.
Valid.
You know you had these crazy songs that would like pop up. And so I couldn't imagine two of you
No.
at the
no.
same relationship, both
Mm-mm.
trying to like out chirp each other or
Right.
something.
It's true.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I feel like Abe and I work so well is because he is sort of like the quiet type sometimes, like doesn't say much. But then like when he's being hyper and like then I'm not. But his isn't as extreme. And I think because Scott and I are both in this industry in the entertainment, we want to be like center of attention and hey.
Look at me.
I don't know if you can have two people in a relationship that are like that.
I saw something on TikTok that people were like, you need like one crazy person and one sort of grounded person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can switch roles
Right.
like
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know that you can have two attention seekers because then who takes the lead?
Right. Because you
Mm.
like I feel like with Abe, we have it down pat with how like who takes the lead in situations. Like I remember when we did the hometown hookup, a party we did for Thanksgiving Eve at
Oh,
Park
yeah.
and Rec in downtown St. Pete.
Forgot about that.
And we were playing, I think, like giant beer pong or something like that.
Mhm.
And we were like calling with the little bullhorn. And I'm not a sports person. And like, so Abe was standing behind me, like telling me like what to say. And then he was like, do you want me to just do it? And I was like, you never asked for the spotlight. Girl, do it. Have fun. Like I want you to have your moment. It's something that you're interested in.
Heck yeah.
Get it? Because he never wants to be in the spotlight. He doesn't want attention on himself. So
Yeah.
I was like, girl, do it. Bye. I know, ain't no skin in my game. But then if I were dating someone like Scott, I'd be like, bitch, it's my turn.
Like no.
Sit down.
No.
This is my turn.
Sorry.
Sit
can't-
down.
Won't do it.
And then we'd end up fist fighting.
So romantic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, that was a fun little game of what if.
Love it. All right. Well, 10 minutes later.
Sorry.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
So this journal that I'm doing,
Mhm.
they ask you different prompts every day. So
Mhm.
they have this whole section of, and let me get to a blank one because I don't want you to see what I wrote.
Oh.
So here on our YouTube channel, you can see, hold on. Can you really see?
So it says there's a header that says, how do you feel? And then it lists a lot of adjectives.
Oh wow.
So there's lots of different emotions, and it just sort of like has you pick one, and then you put what your intentions for the day are or what your achievements were yesterday, depending
Ooh.
upon what time of day that you do it. Then it says things that you're grateful for, and then it says your happy hour, and that's just something that you're doing for yourself that day.
Oh wow.
Whether
yeah.
it's, going to CrossFit or I'm going to take a nap today, whatever that
Nice.
looks like for you.
Mhm.
But then on the next page on every day, they give you different questions. They ask you different questions. Dang it. What was the one I wanted to ask you all?
Was it one that you've already answered?
Yes. It says, what does home mean to you? Think about all the homes you've had. What made them feel like home? Where do you call home? Where do you feel most at home? So I thought that was an interesting question.
That's actually really difficult.
So
Is that weird?
yeah,
Maybe it's not for everybody, but
no.
like, that's difficult.
I thought the same thing too. I'm trying to see if I can read mine. I'm gonna read mine, but let me just make sure nothing
You're going
crazy
to
in
like
here.
self-edit as
Yeah. Okay. So I wrote, and this was January 26th that I wrote this.
Uh-huh.
A common theme my mom always had growing up was having a home that was nice but lived in. You don't want to feel like you are in a museum. The covers on the couch, the pillows, the candles in my house now all help create that sense of home and comfort. Also, having a full fridge and being able to host people at a moment's notice makes it feel like home to me. And that's about as far as I go. And so usually I'll like go back and like fill in a little bit more because I'm usually doing this like before the show and there's not a lot of time, but it sort of gets my thoughts going. So what would be that for you? Think about all the homes you've had. What made them feel like home? Where do you call home? And where do you feel most at home?
Oh, that's a lot of questions. Wait a minute. It's like, can we just take them one at a time?
Yeah.
I can't do all those at once.
So what made all of the homes that you've lived in feel like home? Let's go with the first one. Scott?
What made a home feel like a home? When I
Mhm.
think of my house, I just think of, well, a lot of what you said is definitely how like I grew up. Like my mom always made it a notice to like the house was going to be a place where you just felt comfortable. You came in, you could sit down, anybody, all my friends. And so the word that comes up is just love. Like you come in, you're just loved. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter your background. You come there and you're completely supported no matter who you are. Where it's like my friends could go in the fridge and grab anything they want. They could just jump in the pool if they want. They could go sit on the couch, put on whatever show they want because it was supposed to be just a home of comfort and love. And actually it is weird, like even to take it just a step lower really quick in my new transition of life. It's such an interesting reality check when I go home because a big part of growing up was that. It was the fact that it's like when you would come home, like a hot meal, like literally, like my mom would be like, all right, what do y'all want to eat? Like, what do you need? I got you. Let me make it happen. No matter what she was going through, she was like, go ahead, let me cook up some sandwiches. Let me cut up something. It was always kind of a joke. I was like, Mom, sit down. Like it's cool. But that was the home that I grew up in. That's why it's like I find it so nice. Like honestly, even living now with you, Miguel, because that's that very similar feel where you come in and you don't feel like you have to be like all like necessarily like I guess quote unquote clean. You feel like you could come in and just be completely yourself, talk openly, sit relaxed. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. If you want to go to the fridge and take something, it's completely okay. Nobody's going to come down breathing on your neck for accidentally taking somebody's, somebody's food or somebody's set of, whatever it may be. And that's why I love it so much, where it's like in other places, you go there and you don't feel like you could touch anything. You feel like you have to ask every little thing you do. Like, can I get a drink? Can I get something to eat? Can I sit here? And it's like, that's not the home that I've ever lived in. And that's not a home that I want to have in the future.
Holly?
I like what you said about Scott about feeling like you could be yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the times that I have felt the most at home because I've had a lot of houses, apartments, whatever. And not all of them felt like home. I mean, they do after a while because your stuff is there.
Right.
But I think the places that most feel like home are the ones where you feel like you are open to be yourself without judgment.
Yeah.
And I want to add on to that, like, and this is weird. This is different, I think, from both of yours. I feel most at home, or I feel good about the homes where there's a place for gathering, where you have that, like, the living room or whatever, and, like, maybe that's where you have company over, or if, like, you watch TV or whatever, that's where you do it. There's that space.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I also have to have a space that is only mine in that house. Like it has to be somewhere that I can be alone and either recharge or process. And I didn't know that. And I've never said that out loud or even thought it until this moment. But I do need alone time because I feel so much. Like I feel other people so much. And we've talked about like that empathic thing that I have, which I never knew about until a couple of years ago anyway. But it was always there. I just didn't have a name for it. I didn't know that it made me different. But it's like I need to decompress from other people.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. I
No.
know it might sound like either lonely or weird or maybe it sounds like some type of way, but it's not. It's actually like super necessary for me. So in order to feel like it's like a home, it needs to have, of course, like kind of like what you guys said. Like, I'm about to name drop. One of my family members has one of those museum type houses where they just like to show off their things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you feel like, God forbid, you should bump something.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
You have to have it be comfy, cozy, lived in. But I also need that other space that is separate, like a bedroom. Or if you're like living with someone that shares your bedroom, a different room
Mm.
that you can just feel like this is my space.
Ah, wow. That's
I never
cool.
thought about that. I've never, because I think because of our schedules, I'm able to have sort of that alone time in Abe and I's bedroom. Excuse me. I do feel bad for him sometimes because he doesn't get alone time. And I'm always like, hey, if you ever just want to like chill by yourself at the house, like let me know one day and I'll go get a massage or something
Mm.
for a few hours and go treat myself to a movie or do something, because I know that we all need that alone time.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I've never really thought about it like that, of wanting to have a space just for you. I do know that whenever we do get another place, that I do want an office and I want
Yeah.
a place to have for my stuff.
Hmm.
Like right now we don't have the space for that. And I know like Abe wanted the garage to sort of be like his space,
Hmm.
but then it's like a storage facility right now with all the
Yes,
stuff that we have.
Yeah,
It's
that's how
just
my spare bedroom is.
mhm,
Like it started off as like a kid's sometimes bedroom, and then it still is that, if and when. But like also it was a guest bedroom,
mm,
also a place where you could go to get some alone time. But now there's just
So much stuff.
mm.
it's just a catch-all.
Interesting. So, where do you call home? Where do you feel most at home? Scott,
Hmm.
where
I
do you feel most at home?
Well, wow. It's feel like again, like I'm just in a weird transition right now. Like I love right now just being at the house, like in the house here. So your house, Miguel, like in my
Mhm.
room. Like that's where I feel like just completely relaxed in every little essence. But also Vero, when I go back home and I like stay in my Vero house that I grew up in, which is I was thinking about this past weekend because we're talking to my dad a little bit. Like, I was kind of just joking. I'm like, hey, you should move over to Tampa. You ever think about it? Kind of just throwing it out there. But then it got me thinking, I was like, if we ever moved out of that house, like I know people go through that all the time where they finally like get rid of the house that they grew up in, but it just would feel so weird to not have that. Just for me, that is like my anchor right now, where it's like, I know I still have that. I know I still have all the memories. And when I go back there, like for right now in this moment, like I feel like everything's like okay for just a second.
Right.
Because that's the thing I've noticed this past weekend is like I just kind of want things to just stop for a second so I could catch up. And I feel like I haven't had a second to catch up as constantly, going and moving stuff out of my grandma's place and trying to get that all taken care of and haven't even had a time to process my mom's stuff. And so right now it's like my house is like an anchor back in Vero where it's like I go back and I'm like, okay, kind of feels like a dream for a second. But then when I come back here, it's like reality sets back in that it's like, okay, things are still moving. And I just kind of, so both pretty much. But right now it's definitely in like my room.
Did you feel awkward when you first moved in, like the first couple of days or weeks? Like, did you feel like you were encroaching on a different space?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that is definitely a personality trait of mine that I've gotten so much better about not caring so much about stepping into somebody's space or like being a bother. I think I've said that over the years, even being in the studio. It's like I never wanted to be a bother. And so when I probably moved in, it's like the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm not a bother in your space. And I'm gonna make sure that it's like I'm on my, hitting my X's and O's, all those T's, dots, and I's where it's like I'm cleaning up all my stuff. I'm making sure I'm putting all the dishes away. So it's your first initial reaction isn't like, oh crap, Scott's messy or Scott's already taken out. Like it almost wants to be like, I'm a mouse. I come in, I come out, I don't leave any crumbs. Like I just bam, bam, bam. Now, obviously, I really don't care because it's like, okay,
Yeah, I
we've lived
know.
together now
I
or
was gonna
almost
say that's really uncomfortable to be the mouse in a home.
well,
Mhm.
just in the beginning, but
Yeah.
luckily because of the way our situation is that we spend so much time together, it's like I know exactly, my line on how far I can push without being annoying, but also I've gotten at this point where it's like I feel like anything I do is not going to be too annoying. It might be a little bit of a bother, but it'll be like, okay, whatever, like I'll get over it. It's not like we're just living together. It's like, oh no, we're actually friends that, live together. We could work through this if there's actually a problem.
Mhm.
So now I feel completely comfortable. But when I first moved in, I probably felt it out for a couple weeks until I was like, okay, I'm in. And now I know everyone. Now it's like, okay, even, your fiance, Abe, I feel completely 100% comfortable with. Roommate Dylan completely knows that I'm a weirdo and that I'm going to say and do weird things around the house. And he kind of just has to be used to it. So now I'm just me. And y'all just have to deal with me until I get kicked out or move.
Holly, what about you? Where do you feel most at home?
In my house, there's a couple caveats. Like it's interesting because I mean, this is the first house that I bought. Obviously, I live in it. That I still bought the house. So it's cool because I own it, and I was like, this is. And one of the reasons I got it is because of the backyard, which I don't even spend that much time back there. But when I do, that's like a very if I'm by myself,
Yeah.
that's a very peaceful space, and I feel really at home back there. I've always had weird things about because I'm not that much of an outdoorsy person. But in any house I've ever lived in, I used to at least at some point sit in the backyard, or maybe it was like the front porch. And this started at my house in college, where I would have to be alone and spend some time outside at night.
Mm.
And so that always felt like a very like all-encompassing time. Like, I would think about the present and the past and the future all in that one space, and I needed a good connection to do it outside. So
Mm.
I I really like my backyard. And then the other part of my home that feels most like home is after everyone's in bed, and I'm sure this has something to do with, like, my personality, my upbringing, but, like, my mom lives with me, obviously. My daughter lives with me, obviously. And so if it's a night where I don't see my person that I'm in a relationship with, which that's we're going to have to start talking about that at some point. Um if like he's not over and it's just me, I can feel like the calm, and it just feels like everything in its place.
Mm.
Like my mom doesn't need anything at this moment, like she's at peace, I'm at peace. Maya doesn't need anything in this moment, she's at peace, I'm at peace.
Mm.
I can really enjoy the feeling of the house that makes it a home.
Mm.
And that's not to say that I don't enjoy them when they're up,
Right.
but maybe I'm confusing the word home for peace.
Well, I
They could
mean,
go hand in hand.
yeah, because at the bottom of this page on this journal, it says home could be a combination of places, spaces, and people. Um, and then they ask another, what would your dream home look like? But yeah, so it can be anything that gives you that feeling of peace.
Right. And so I think that goes along with my needing some just personal space in the house, where it's like if I feel like everything is taken care of and I'm not on immediately on call for something,
Right.
Yes.
or somebody doesn't need me for something, then I'm just like
Mm.
Yeah.
which is the biggest issue I have when I have some free time and I don't have like my mom's maybe taking a nap and Maya's at school. You would think that I would take that opportunity to like pay my bills or do the dishes in the sink if there are any or whatever. But no, I like go in my room and like turn myself into a caterpillar, and I'm just like, I'm just, this is so
Mm.
nice.
Yeah, it's like a moment of
Sometimes-
peace.
Yeah, sometimes you need that. We don't. I feel like one of the things that we in our culture are having to work through is not feeling like we need to do something all the time. Like,
Yeah.
not doing something is doing something, and
Yes.
that is okay to take a moment and just rest. Like yesterday, on Sunday, my friend and I, we went and got lunch, and we were there talking, and then we're like, all right, let's do some mimosas. And my plan was to just do lunch, and then I was going to go home, work on some stuff for the show. And then I was like, as we were talking, I'm like, dedicate so much time and
Exactly.
energy to this show and what we do and all the things that come with it. Let's go downtown and have an extra couple of drinks and like just relax for the day. Like,
Yes.
it can wait.
Mhm.
We don't work at a hospital. We're not dealing with people's sickness or anything like that.
Right.
It can wait.
Yeah, you're not curing cancer.
Right. So it was nice to just, go have a leisure day and not do anything.
So
So
needed.
yeah, just sitting in your cocoon of your bedroom and nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that whole aspect of it.
For me, there's two feelings about where do I feel most at home,
Mhm.
or what gives me that feeling is sitting on the couch in my spot. Abe is next to me. We're curled up in blankets, watching TV, and just relaxed. Like, to me, there
Mhm.
is nothing better than that feeling of like when I first sit down and he's next to me and like my shoulders just relax and I'm just like, all right,
Yeah, high five.
what
That's
entertainment
right.
are we watching?
That's right.
And then also too, I've had this weird thought. I think because I've always wanted to have like a home like I have now with people in it that's like you've built this comfortable place. And for some reason, when like Scott, you're in your room, Dylan's in his room, like the washer and dryer are going, or maybe the dishwasher's going, and it's like there is life in this house and this warmth of people living their lives together. And I
Yeah.
feel like I've been a part of like building this space of comfort and acceptance and love at Chateau Oprah. And I love that feeling when everyone's home and just like the house is being used, and maybe there's something cooking in the oven and it's the smell of it. That warmth feeling, I absolutely love when those sort of moments happen.
I like that. I'm sure this all says something very psychological about all of us, but
absolutely.
I find that so fascinating that
Mhm.
like you strive to build something that is sort of a quiet, bustling
Yes.
establishment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love this journal because it makes you go down these rabbit holes of thought. And so like when we don't have a lot of stuff going on, I'll just bring out some of these questions. I'm gonna end with this one, and then maybe we'll answer it next time. Where's the one that I had so much trouble, and I was like, I need to do something. Oh, here we go. Fun times. Okay.
That's why you had trouble.
Like,
You have such a hard time sometimes.
like, let me just show you how like fun times. That's all I had right there.
What?
All right. Let me read to you what it says.
Yeah.
Okay.
What or when do you remember having the most fun? Describe where you were and who you were with. Why does it stick in your memory, and how could you relive it?
Ooh.
And so I was like, so we'll revisit this one on Wednesday's podcast.
Where? You said it said where?
Where and who?
Where were you
Describe where you were and who you were with.
Yeah.
Why does it stick in your memory, and how could you relive it? So
Wow.
I was like, no. So I did put down like the last time on the cruise with Abe and my Georgia Southern friends. But we'll go more into that on the next podcast.
That reminds me of something that remember we used to have a life coach.
Mhm.
I don't know. You may still use her. I don't know.
Every now and then.
So it reminds me of a question that she asked, maybe us or just me. And it was for something like answer this question, then we're going to use it later. You have to think of your absolute worst day of your life. And that like is going to be this end point here on the spectrum of like, did you have a bad day or not? And then think of like the best day of your entire life, the absolute like other days strive to be this day. And so you use those two endpoints as like a way to sort of gauge your days, your weeks, or whatever to say like, you're like, oh my God, today was the worst day. And you're like, well, was it? Wait a minute. How does it live up to this? So
True.
that reminds me of that, except it's different because it's fun.
Right.
And how do you clarify fun?
Mm-hmm. So
That's like actually multiple complexity question.
Absolutely. They really asked some thought-provoking question. It's called the Mind Journal if you are interested. But yeah, we'll revisit that on Wednesday's podcast. Scott, what's all of your social media?
At Scott Tavlin, SCOTTAVLIN.
Holly.
Radio Holly on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.
And mine is Miguel Fuller, MIGUELFULLER. Make sure if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere to leave us a review and a rating. It really helps. And share it with your friends when you're listening. Post a screenshot of you listening on your Insta story and tag at Miguel and Holly on Insta, and we'll re-tag you on our story as well. And if you want some Miguel and Holly stickers for being a part of the Platypus Posse, just shoot me an email, Miguel@hot1015tampabay.com. We will see you Wednesday.
Catch up with the previous episodes of the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast from Hot 101.5.
Just hit up the Hot 101.5 app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Search Miguel and Holly Uncensored.